No FA action against Scudamore. The Football Association has restated its position that it cannot take action against Premier League Chief Executive Richard Scudamore, despite some calls for him to be charged for sending sexist emails. Okay, I'm gonna have to carry on with that. 20th of May, that's from the 20th of May 2014. FA Chairman Greg Dyke met his counterpart at the Premier League, Peter McCormick, on Tuesday for talks over the issue after the top flight clubs decided to take no action against Scudamore. I'm gonna get onto that in a second. One member of the FA's Inclusion Advisory Board, IAB, equality campaigner Edward Lord, has obtained a legal opinion that the FA could take disciplinary action, but Dyke reaffirmed that will not take place. Dyke said in a statement, last week the FA made it clear that Mr. Scudamore was not an employee of the Football Association, and as such, we had no position in terms of employment policy or taking disciplinary action. We were of the view that this was a matter for the Premier League, and we asked them to keep us informed of the actions they were taking. In terms of wider FA disciplinary action, we were advised that the FA does not, as a matter of policy, consider private communications sent with a legitimate expectation of privacy to amount to professional misconduct. Okay? The FA has applied this policy on an ongoing basis and in relation to numerous other cases. IAB Chair Heather Rabats was also at the meeting with Acting Chairman Heather McCormick, and she will take on the task of ensuring the Premier League keeps to its undertaking to take further steps on inclusion and diversity. Dyke said McCormick has assured him the league had followed proper process under their own employment and disciplinary rules and had conducted a thorough investigation. The FA chairman said, added, we said last week that we considered the contents of emails in question to be totally inappropriate, and we are still of that view, as is the Premier League. It is important to reiterate the significant focus the FA gives to equality, not least through the work of its Inclusion Advisory Board, and to tackling all forms of discrimination. FA board member Heather Rabats joined me in this morning's meeting. I have asked her to follow up with the Premier League to discuss the wider issues around the inclusion agenda, and to see how the FA and Premier League can work together to make meaningful the league's undertaking to take further steps on inclusion and diversity. Rani Abraham, the former temporary personal assistant who leaked the emails, said she was disappointed and surprised the Premier League had taken no sanctions against Scudamore. Join the club, Rani. She told BBC Radio 5 Live, I'm highly surprised the Premier League have decided to take no sanctions whatsoever against Richard Scudamore. I feel very disappointed. I think it sends out a damaging message about how we regard women in football. Abraham said she had not been contacted as part of the league's investigation. She added, they haven't approached me, they haven't heard my side of the story. So there has not been a thorough investigation. I honestly think they're not taking the sexism seriously. Abraham said that she had been threatened with legal action by the Premier League after taking the emails to the Sunday Mirror, and was herself considering taking legal action against the organisation. She added, when I approached the Mirror, I received a letter from the Premier League's lawyers threatening legal action. They said there had been a breach of trust. It was a very threatening letter. I've had a couple now, and I believe the Premier League are trying to scare me. She also said, I won't go quiet because I'm standing up for what I believe in. I haven't taken legal action, but I am speaking to a solicitor at the moment. Also, the Premier League would not comment on Abraham's latest claims. It is understood, however, that she was asked to return the copies of the emails she had taken, as they contain confidential and commercially sensitive information, and that the contents of emails should be treated as confidential. Scudamore spoke of his sincere contrition after the top flight clubs decided against any disciplinary action against him, and vowed to hold a series of meetings across football's administration to reassure them of his commitment to promote women in the rugby game. Now, Barclays continue their league backing amid controversy from May 21st, 2014. Speculation that Barclays would end its title sponsorship increased after Premier League Chief Executive Richard Scudamore had to apologise for sending sexist emails in an episode that has embarrassed the league. We are 1 year into a 3-year deal and there is no truth to rumours that we have made the decision not to renew, said a spokesman for Barclays, a sponsor since 2001. Discussions on the sponsorship renewal would normally begin in earnest a year before the deal expires. Barclays has not commented publicly on the Scudamore issue but has expressed its disappointment in private discussions with the league. Now, you know what, yeah? For me, there's a lot of mixed message. There are a hell of a lot of mixed messages sent within this, because at the end of the day, Gary Batten, I love that. Can everyone leave our players and manager alone? I love that. A lot of rumours. But
we're crossing the border and we're talking.
But the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, it's a case of that it does send mixed messages that the FA are not going to step in and do anything about it, because the FA once again have copped out on a serious issue once again. So I'm not surprised at the FA. The one thing that does concern me is putting this out. It's like this whole thing that we've discussed before about FIFA, friends investigating friends with the Council of Wisdom. But what concerns me is, what were the Premier League or the FA expecting when you're canvassing the 20 Premier League clubs to say, what's gonna say? Oh yeah, what do you think should happen to Richard Scudamore? Should he be sanctioned? If he should be, then why? Then what should we do? It's one of them ones. When you're going to the Premier League clubs and asking that, do you think any Premier League club is going to be dumb enough? Do you think any Premier League club is going to be dumb enough, or any of their officials are going to be dumb enough to come out and say, yeah, he should be sacked, he should be fired, and then next thing you know, he doesn't get fired, and now you've just burnt a bridge with the man who is head of the Premier League? Do you think any club's going to actually be stupid enough to do that? That's what gets me. It should have been an independent panel taking the decision, not the good old boys network of the FA and the Premier League and looking at all that. No, shouldn't have been the good old boys. And I accentuate the phrase boys. It's one of them ones, because a lot of this is men talking about an issue that regards equality towards women. And Ronnie Ronnie Abraham, who was the personal assistant who leaked the emails, on a personal note, you are a disgrace. You should not be if emails are private, whether or not they may have been sent from a work address, but if it's a private email, you shouldn't be leaking. You shouldn't be leaking that, especially not to the papers and the parasitic media. So it's a case of there's a breach of confidence there, and if those emails are confidential, then I can understand why the Premier League would want to sue. But at the same time, Scudamore shouldn't be sending those emails, period, let alone off a work address. Whether it was a private email or not is almost irrelevant, because at the end of the day, you're sending it off a work address. So, like, administrators of that email, of the email accounts could probably see it. So if you got views that you don't want people to see, you don't send it from your work address, you send it from a private address, whether it be Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook or whatever the hell. So Scudamore, coming back to Scudamore, how is anyone supposed to take his view seriously that he's all about equality of women in football when he's being condescending in emails? Because apparently the emails were talking about irrational women and all that, and someone with and like I think it was about a woman's female assets. Let's pull it that way. And it's one of them ones. So if he's sending those emails around from a work address, and if he holds those antiquated, draconian views, then how is he gonna talk to people and smooth over and be like, no, I'm serious about equality for women in football, when he's coming out with that kind of opinion behind closed doors? That's the big issue here for me. For me, that is the big issue. So it's a case of I think Scudamore should have been sacked for it. Personally, I think he should have been sacked for it. Because at the end of the day, now he's going to be looked upon as a joke whenever he says, "Yeah, I'm about equality for women in football." People are just going to give him the side. In the words of Jim Cornette, people are just going to give him the sideways glance, like the guy who runs the Ferris wheel at the county fair. So it's one of them ones. I mean, if you want to jump in, facebook.com/PitchTalk, @PitchTalk on Twitter as well. But we've got some of the Skypers who want to jump in on this as well. And a big hello to Lilia Lumi, who's just joined us in the Skype chat. Would you like to have your say on this particular issue with the Scudamore leaked emails?
Yes, hello. I think it's stupid. Like you were saying, you shouldn't even send emails from your work emails to that degree. It's just stupid. And like you said, is anyone really going to believe that he wants equality for women now?
It's gonna be one of them ones where you're always gonna think, especially if you're a woman trying to get into football, you're always gonna think, okay, he says that, but does he really mean that? And it's
exactly.
It's
you're
like
not
in
really
a criminal
going to believe
case.
anything that he's going to say to do with women in sport, in football.
I mean, it's one of them ones. It's like if you've got any reasonable doubt, you're always going to kind of err on the side of caution, and almost err on the side of cynicism, and think, you know what, he probably doesn't mean it, because look at what he said in the past. Track record counts for a lot.
When I read it, I just thought, what a stupid thing to have done. It just, yeah. Well, I didn't really like him to start with anyway, and it just makes me dislike him even more now. Yeah,
I mean, I can't blame you, because I've said, hey, is one of them was UEFA, FIFA, and RFA have been the moronic trinity. But I've also said that Richard Scudamore, I've had my opinions on him in the past, and they've never been positive. So, and that's me as a man. So it's a case of, imagine if you're a woman and you dislike him anyway, but now you've got more.
I've had my say on him on the local radio station when it happened, and I was not holding back. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, it's one of them ones. It's just not like. It's just not good. I mean, at the end of the day, it just doesn't look good when someone who's at the top is coming out with these comments, because it gives carte blanche to people below him to say, well, our boss holds this view, I can hold that view too. So it's one of them ones. For me, he's brought the Premier League into disrepute. I would honestly say he's brought the company into disrepute, and he's embarrassed the company as well. God, the Premier League.
And just to say as well, it's just he's embarrassed it, like you said. I think, to be honest, it's outraged lots of women that I know, and lots of women that are obviously trying to get into the game as well. I'm sure they're not very happy either.
I mean, it's one of them ones, man. I just don't get it. I said I think he should have been sacked for it, because you can't have someone at the top holding those views, because there's always you just can't have it. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I just as I said, there's no real there's no real surprise about it, but